Calvin Benson Studios. Copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for various purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reportings, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. In other words, I pity whoever does not have anything better to do than to sue some kid on the internet with less than 100 subscribers. Hey everybody, it's me, Calvin Benson, and welcome back to the Calvin Benson Show. And I would like you to welcome my sister, Alexa Benson, also known as Popsicles. But anyway, something that has come up now on YouTube is tier lists. You can basically make one for anything, from fast food restaurants to Smash Bros. Characters. It's crazy how many tier lists there are. But there is one tier list that has not been made yet, which is ranking cinematic universes. So as they say, if you want something done right, then you gotta do it yourself. So let's get into it. So what counts is as long as it set up a cinematic universe, even if it failed, or if there was supposed to be one, even if they didn't set it up, or just a plain cinematic universe. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first on the tier list, the failed Ghostbusters cinematic universe. The 2016 Ghostbusters reboot was supposed to start this universe, and even before its release, a sequel to it was planned. Ghostbusters 2, or is it 3? Is it like a reboot sequel or a sequel? Oh, who cares? It's another reboot. Wait, did I just write that in the title? Oh crap. And a male-centric movie starring Chris Pratt and Paul Rudd, with Anthony and Joe Russo set to direct it. And a spin-off animated series. And a spin-off Slimer series. But all those plans were scrapped when the movie bombed. But the franchise has survived with the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, giving us the cinematic universe it was trying to. I'll put this in the C category. Next up, the Despicable Me cinematic universe, which includes Despicable Me 2, Electric Boogaloo, Despicable 3, Minions, and the upcoming movie Minions 2: The Rise of Gru. Most people hate these movies, especially compared to Pixar, but in their defense, literally no animated movie can be as good as anything Pixar has made. Except Cars 2, that sucks. But I've always admired how they could make such a really greatly animated movies on such a remarkably low budget. So, across all the 4 movies in this universe, so far, they've made a total of $3.7 billion on a paltry budget of just $294 million. The Despicable Me films may not be on the level of Pixar, but there's some fun movies and I respect that. They go into the B tier. Next is the DCEU, or the DC Extended Universe, which I've already done a video on of how you can fix that, so you basically know what I'm going to say. After Disney struck it big with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Warner Brothers realized they might have a gold mine under their hands with the rights to DC, so they rushed out a universe to try to cash in on the superhero trend. Even though most DCEU movies have made a bunch of money, almost every fan and critic have hated them. And I sorta agree. Before the MCU, DC was making great self-contained stories. But now they're just copying Marvel. But now the DCEU is finally making standalone great movies, like Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman, etc. So despite its past, I still like the DCEU. This goes into the B tier. Next is the Wizarding World, or the Harry Potter Cinematic Universe. This film includes the 8 Harry Potter movies and the 2 Fantastic Beasts movies. This universe disappoints me because there was so much that could have been done with the cinematic universe, where wizards and monsters and magic and witches and a big long past and the ability to do almost anything, and coming off the tails of one of the greatest book adaptations of all time, if not the greatest, and we see a big horny rhino trying to bang the main character. They literally made 2 movies out of a Harry Potter textbook. And what's even worse is that they're trying to make 5 movies out of it total. 5! The only way the cinematic universe could survive is if they made a Cursed Child movie, or just split it into 3 movies if they're really desperate. The recent Fantastic Beasts movies are bad, but they don't overshadow the original movies. So these go into the C tier. Next is the X-Men Origins universe. The X-Men Origins Wolverine movie was actually supposed to start the universe with the origin of all the X-Men. They already had plans for an X-Men Origins Magneto movie, with Ian McKellen returning. But as we all know, the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie was absolutely horrible. Yeah, it was a great idea to have your badass superhero be named Jimmy. This is a horrible movie and would have made a horrible universe. This goes in the F tier. Next is the classic Universal Monsters Cinematic Universe. I love this one because this was the first shared universe in history. So technically Marvel and these other universes are copying what they started. And all these films are masterpieces. I mean, The Invisible Man is one of my favorite movies. So the cinematic universe is really good. They even remade it. Well, the remake of The Mummy is complete garbage. But it just makes us appreciate the original universe even more. This goes in the S tier. Next is the Lego Cinematic Universe, which includes the Lego Movie, the Lego Ninjago movie, the Lego Batman movie, and the Lego Movie 2, the second part. When the first Lego movie came out, it was expected to be like the Emoji Movie, a product cash grab, and could not be a good movie, nonetheless a good cinematic universe. But somehow the makers behind these movies and Warner Brothers made not just one movie, not just a trilogy, but a cinematic universe about Legos. Amazing. But sadly, the universe has ended, and Lego has moved to Universal to make new movies. These films will be remembered that if these can be great, any movie can. These go in the A tier. Next is the Fast and the Furious cinematic universe, which includes Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, The Fast and the Furious Turbocharged, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, The Fast and the Furious Los Bandoleros, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, Fate of the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, and the upcoming film F9, The Fast Saga. Who would have thought Fast and the Furious would become as big as it is? And I think the Fast and the Furious movies are modern-day action movies. They may not be amazing, but they're just some fun movies. These go in the B tier. Next is the X-Men Extended Universe, which includes all the X-Men movies. The first 3 X-Men movies were pretty good, but after each movie they just got worse. But they made one last good movie with Logan. The lows may be horrible, but the highs of the cinematic universe overshadow the lows. Putting this in the B tier. Next is the Transformers Cinematic Universe, which include all the Michael Bay Transformers movies. This shows you how they are literally making a cinematic universe out of anything. A Transformers universe. What's next? A Teletubby cinematic universe? Oh crap, I shouldn't have given them ideas. Dang it! But anyway, everyone agrees these movies suck. And I mostly agree. I say mostly because I actually like the first movie and the Bumblebee movie. But those can't hide that the franchise is a piece of garbage. These go in the D tier. Next is the Monsterverse, which include Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and the upcoming film Godzilla vs. Kong. Or as it says right here, God vs. King. Most people complain there are too much humans and less action, and I kinda agree. But the good parts overshadow the bad, and the box office really shows that. From all the movies, they've made $1.4 billion on a budget of $515 million, so we know there's a good audience for these. They're like Fast and the Furious. There's just some fun movies. These go in the B tier. Next is the Valiant universe. After the success of the MCU and kind of the DCEU, the comic hero company Valiant wanted to start their own one. So the recent movie Bloodshot was supposed to start it, but thanks to the Rona, the movie bombed. But they say the universe may not be dead, and I hope it isn't. I'm a big fan of Valiant, even bigger than Marvel, so I'm putting this in the S tier. Next is the Conjuring universe, which includes The Conjuring, The Conjuring 2, Annabelle, Annabelle Comes Home, Annabelle Creation, The Curse of La 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 La, The Nun, and the upcoming movie The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Now this is the best, first, and only horror cinematic universe. On paper, it shouldn't have worked. But now it's one of the biggest and best horror franchises of all time. And across the 7 films, it made $1.8 billion on a budget of $81 million. So there's a big audience for these. These go in the A tier. Next is the Dark Universe. Well, remember when I was talking about the Universal Monsters universe? Well, like any amazing franchise, they're like vampires and must suck out everything good from it. So that's why in 2017, they remade it as a Dark Universe. Even though the Mummy movie sucks, why I hate it is how overly confident they are that this will be a giant universe. Like, they put the Dark Universe logo at the beginning of the movie. Like hey, you're gonna see more of it you don't even know if you like yet. Like, check it out. And they have Mr. Hyde, a vampire skull, the creature from the Black Lagoon's arm, and more. But now with the release of The Invisible Man, they're finally making a new universe. So just forget the Dark Universe. This goes in the F tier. Next is the Sony Spider-Man spin-off cinematic universe. Or as Sony calls it, Sony Pictures Shared Universe of Marvel characters. Man, Sony really wants a cinematic universe. They're trying to have their own Marvel universe, but they never will. Its universe does not have enough grounding to be as big as Marvel, so I think Sony should just buy the rights to some other popular franchise for like Hasbro, for instance, and make a cinematic universe out of those. These movies may be doing good right now, but they won't last. These go in the C tier. Next is a Star Wars cinematic universe. The first trilogy was amazing, the prequels were horrible, and the new trilogy is somewhere in the middle. When Disney said they were going to make a new Star Wars movie every year, they did well. Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi all made over $1 billion, but critics and audiences could not stop arguing about them. And even though it seems like the franchise has ended, you know Disney won't stop making more movies. But what's worse is the new movies are made by Disney, who made the Marvel movies, and the Marvel is still getting 3 movies a year, and people still aren't sick of them. After 5 years of new Star Wars movies, they're already struggling. The only way this franchise can survive is with TV shows with lower stakes, or an aftermath movie set decades later of a smaller story. But anyway, it's still a good franchise, so this goes in the A tier. And finally, the Marvel Universe. You can't beat this. They've had an impact on cinema as a whole. They've practically made the modern blockbuster. They own the box office. It's amazing that across so many films and directors, they can still make the greatest overarching story of all time. Across all the films they've made a total of $27.4 billion on a budget of $4.5 billion. And Avengers Endgame is the highest grossing film of all time. You can't beat the MCU. They've revolutionized cinema as a whole, and the only way these movies can fail is if people get bored with them. But it doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. Man, that video took longer than expected. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and I hope I see you in my next video. Bye! Unwash, you freaking